Hello. Well, I thought they were going to win the game. I actually did. You could check the receipts in the Discord, but that is not how I thought they were going to win the game. I cannot get over the fact that they just cannot score at home and they score at will on the road. It's crazy. Sorry, let me pick up Wigliffe here. It's unbelievable. And it's today, it's the way that they're scoring. They're not just scoring on the rush in this particular game. You're in a situation where you end up hitting those two in the power play late. They bang through the empty netter. You get the one on the cleanup play by Stone early. There's other opportunities that are there, and really a lot of the similar opportunities that were there against Boston 2 nights ago were there again today. There's a late power play opportunity that they could have potentially taken advantage of in that game that they don't today. They absolutely do. There's a penalty kill that they have to get. They end up getting it in this particular game. The biggest players step up in the biggest moments. You have to love to see that. But I think I'll start kind of just with the matchup with what appears to be another pretty good team in the conference. It'll be interesting to kind of see how this all shakes out, because you certainly watch them, and in a way it does remind me of the Golden Knights a little bit, where there are some fatal flaws to the way that they play. They are much different fatal flaws than what the Golden Knights have, but the matchup, and the good news is that it's certainly possible that they could see each other in a postseason series down the road. The matchup does appear to be really good for the Golden Knights. And it's weird because they do the thing that you really cannot do against the Golden Knights. And then even today, they're able to overcome it, leading 4-3 with 10 minutes left in the game. And the Golden Knights still are able to find a way. They score twice on the power play against a team that's only given up 4 in their building all season. So it's interesting that you see a third game against the same team, and still, we see some of the same things that we had seen in the first 2. That's what I think you can certainly draw out of this, is even though the teams are in a much different place than they were at the time that they played the first 2, where the Golden Knights were riding real high, could not be beaten by basically anybody, and Winnipeg was kind of still finding themselves. They were winning a lot of games at that time, but they weren't quite where they are now. To now, where Winnipeg's feeling really good about themselves, coming off a loss. They've only lost twice in a row, 1 time all season, now twice. The Golden Knights have all these injuries coming off a homestand where they weren't all that good. The offense has certainly hit a little bit of a road bump. There's reason to believe this is the game that you're going to see it kind of turn. And in moments, I thought we did see that. The beginning of the first period, the Golden Knights were kind of trying to get out of their own way. There were periods in the second. The third was an interesting kind of weird type of game where Winnipeg's perfectly fine with giving the puck back to the Golden Knights, just throwing it deep into the zone, not having any concern about Adin Hill playing it. And Adin Hill's playing it over and over and over again. And the Golden Knights are coming right back out at them. It's just constant pressure time and time again. And unfortunately, that's not how the Golden Knights get their goal. But what it does allow them to draw a couple of penalties, put themselves in a position where they are able to go on the power play, and then take advantage of that with 2 fantastic shots and then a couple of unbelievable plays by Mark Stone that I'm going to highlight for an article for tomorrow, or maybe it'll be a video. I don't know yet, but just awesome stuff by Mark Stone. And I think that's probably the thing that maybe jumps off the page the most today is we knew going into this game, offense is going to be tough. We're going to need the biggest players to stand up in the biggest moments. And when you really look over the course of this season, the biggest players in the biggest moments have mostly been Marchessault at different times, Pietrangelo, Eichel, Theodore at different times. It hasn't been Mark Stone to the same level. It may be a little bit with Stevenson at the beginning of the season, but certainly not as much recently. To get the game out of Mark Stone and Chandler Stevenson that they get, even with them moving different guys in and off of their line, with a road game where you're going to get some difficult matchups, and there are certainly difficult matchups going up against Winnipeg. This was a great opportunity for Mark Stone to step forward and have what was probably his best game of the season. And he does it in a moment where they absolutely need somebody like him to have that impact. And again, like, I know Marchessault gets the 2 power play goals. I understand that those are kind of what's going to jump off the page. Certainly as we look at this game down the road, that's what's going to jump out. But to me, Stone's the reason they're in that game in the first place. Stone's the reason that they're able to kind of keep going in the right direction. And then for him to make the plays that he makes on that power play, to get the puck back multiple times, help get that first power play goal. And then he's kind of standing in the way of Hellebuck on that 5th goal, the one that ends up making it, gives the Golden Knights the lead late, ends up not being the game winner because they give up the other one. But he just had the type of game that you really want to see out of Mark Stone, that's really going to be necessary while they're down these other players. And it was maybe the first game I can remember in quite some time, possibly all season. I've pretty much got back all through the 9, and I don't remember one quite like this, where defensively you really saw Mark Stone's stick changing the game. It really hasn't been there much of this season. There hasn't been the constant neutral zone turnovers. There hasn't been the forechecking turnovers that led to the Golden Knights getting cheap opportunities that they probably don't necessarily deserve in many ways, because that's a play that most guys cannot make, and he makes it. And it's kind of allowing them this extra offense and putting them in a position where they are able to get something that they probably didn't, weren't expecting or weren't banking on. And that felt like that's what we were getting today. They would play around with the puck in their own end, and Mark Stone there, and it's like, he's probably going to end up getting this. And he did multiple times in the neutral zone. Multiple times he broke down their rushes and started things going the other way. Like, he had a massively impactful game in a game where we knew he had to be massively impactful. And it's kind of, in a weird way, opposite of the end of last season, when you needed these games out of Eichel, and we got them from time to time. Now, with Eichel out, Stone's the guy who has to come in and step up and be the hero as often as he possibly can. And today certainly was great to see that. I would agree. Let's hope Carrier's injury is not anything bad. I will say I did see him on the bench during the timeout when they were showing that late. There's like a minute or whatever left when they took the timeout, and there was a huddle along the Golden Knights bench. Carrier was on the bench. Obviously, in that situation, they take the lead. There's only a couple minutes left. He's probably not going to play in that situation anyway, so it's not like we can read too much into him not going back in. However, I think if it's a broken wrist, or if that thing is directly off the wrist, he probably goes back to have it looked at right away. That did not happen, so I'm hoping for good news there. Looked like everybody else got through the game, which is the first time we've had that in a while. I'll talk about Miromanov because a lot of people talking about Miromanov, and obviously a 3-point game. But first, I'll tell you that this Periscope is brought to you by Conler & Associates CPAs. I have it right over there. I don't know why I can't do that today. Conler & Associates CPAs are fantastic tax attorneys that can help you with all sorts of different things like gambling tax, crypto tax, business taxes, anything you need help with. Highly recommend you go to conlercpa.com, KONDLER CPA.com. Tell them SinBin sent you, and they will hook you up with a free consultation and answer all your questions. And they are huge Golden Knights fans. Heck, you could probably just call Conler and talk to Gary about the game, and he would absolutely love it. Highly recommend doing that as well. Get at him all over the place. Conler & Associates CPAs making these Periscopes and Twitter spaces come to life for I think it's the second year in a row. It might even be the third. I don't know. That's how long they've been with us that I can't even remember. That's how awesome they are. Fantastic folks, fantastic service, awesome people. So back to Miromanov. The power play is where I thought he was most impactful today. Like, yes, they get the opportunity on the goal. That's a really nice shot. That play is more for me born out of Riley Smith making a good play, and also Winnipeg kind of just in that mode of allowing the Golden Knights opportunities. Miromanov does the right thing, hops up in and gets that opportunity. Now finishing the shot, that's something we don't see out of a lot of other defensemen, so that's really good. The power plays where I really saw a little bit more of that impact that we would have liked to see. And you really look at it and like, he didn't do all that much on either goal. However, it was the calmness, it was the delivery, it was the way that he was commanding the top of that zone on that power play, that it certainly felt a lot more comfortable than I think we have seen, certainly from Hutton, and then from at times Miromanov. And then other times, other guys when we haven't seen it be Theodore or Pietrangelo. That was really nice to see that he's starting to kind of settle into that portion of the game. I still think defensively there are some concerns. On the exits, there are some concerns. I'm not sure how well he's going to hold up in a top 4 for as long as they need that, which it does appear that that's going to be some time here, because I don't know when we're getting either of the 2 top defensemen back, and certainly Whitecloud appears to be quite some time. So it is good to see him kind of feeling more comfortable, being a little bit better, and that offensive game is the part they need. That's the part of his game that they're going to have to get. And to see the goal and the multiple points and the two power play assists today, like, that's really good. That's what they absolutely need. And we can worry about the defensive end coming along later, because if they don't score, it's not really going to matter if he's not all that good defensively. And they have other guys that they can plug in. Pahal, Korzak, Hutton, these guys can do these types of things. What's great about Miromanov, and what's nice to have him in this lineup at the moment, is he does offer something different. He does offer a sliver of what you're missing from Pietrangelo and Theodore, and that did start to shine through a little bit more today. I think that just his impact on how he plays the game and the willingness to put the puck towards the goal, which we aren't seeing out of Hutton or McNabb. I don't think we saw it out of Pahal. We're not seeing it even at all, really, the same out of Haig as we have seen in the past. So it's really good to see that coming through and it kind of being a part of his game that we knew was kind of his calling card. And it wasn't really showing up. You look at it, and I don't know that he had a point before today to get the goal, to get the power play assists. Like, that's going to help moving forward. I think he's going to be a bigger impact player while they are in this situation where they're missing guys. I don't particularly, at least at the moment, see him passing any of the 3 that are out. I don't think that he's going to be a long-term option for the Golden Knights going forward in a Cassidy system. I just don't think that unless they're in a situation where they need the offense, he's going to be the guy they turn to. But here we are in the situation where they do need the offense, and it's really good to see him coming through, making plays, making things happen, and feeling more comfortable about his game. Somebody tweeted at me that Marchessault is the clear MVP. And I was actually asked yesterday who's been the best player on the team. And I pretty much quickly went to Eichel, and I would think I still feel that way. But I do think it's fair to ask the question of how important has Marchessault's scoring been, not just this year, but over the course of the history of the team? When they need a big time goal and he is given the opportunity to get it, it's incredible how often he gets it. Today's perfect example, absolutely brilliant for him to have those 2 opportunities where the puck comes out to him and he's got a chance to take a dangerous shot, and he just wires them past Hellebuck both times. And we've seen it over and over and over historically from Marchessault that he is the guy that's going to step up in those moments. And now, again, with the players that are out of the lineup, that are going to be out of the lineup for a little while here, they're going to keep needing this type of offense from guys like Marchessault. And for him to step up, make those plays, be there to make those plays in those moments, that's huge for this team moving forward. Because right now, it is in many ways about treading water. You want to start progressing in the right direction of not being 7-7-1 as they were over the last 15. Now we're starting a new 15, and now they're 1-0-0 with an opportunity to go get another one against a bad Chicago team on Thursday. So we do want to see those clutch goals, and they haven't necessarily been there at home as much because nobody's been scoring at home, even though Marchessault has scored, 5 games out of the last 6. That's good to see. The clutch goals, it's nice to still have that clutch guy, because I do think that Pacioretty was that at different times. We haven't necessarily seen that from Eichel, maybe outside of the Buffalo game, where he hasn't really come through with the giant clutch goals. I guess the Ottawa one last year. Marchessault still seems to be the guy in that role, and that's certainly a positive. The biggest negative out of this game, without question, is I just don't understand why they were so bad in front of the goal today. Like, we've had this problem in the past over the course of the last 3 years, certainly under DeBoer, but it hasn't really been that bad this season. And then all of a sudden, today, it's like every single shot from the point that's headed towards the goal, it's not only that 3 of them went in and that there's a penalty on the other one, but for the most part, it's like they have inside position every single time. They're winning to every single loose puck in front of the goal. The traffic is in there and getting out of the way in time to put sticks on it. Like, there's not sticks tied up defensively. They're not boxing players out. They were just not good at all. And normally I would sit here and say, well, you're missing half of your defense. But I think normally I would say it's the 3 worst players at it that you're missing. And that's not to say that they're bad at it or anything, but not having Theodore shouldn't mean all of a sudden you fall apart in front of your goal. I don't necessarily think Whitecloud's had a great season in regards to that portion of the game. He's been better than what they were today for sure, but to me, and Brandon says they're fluky, I actually don't think they were fluky. That's the part that bugs me. It's I thought that was a style of offense that would have continued to create goals for the Jets had they needed to keep pushing for them. And it ends up being fortunate that the Golden Knights do the right thing, get the opportunity, and then shut it down. Do not allow those shots from the point when they have the 6-on-5 opportunity and then quickly rip one into the empty net. It just felt like every single one of those, it wasn't just luck. It wasn't just guys flicking sticks out in a bad situation or whatever, like we've seen at different times for the Golden Knights over the course of the last few years. This was a situation where those chances were going to go in because they were getting the right position. They had the ability to have their sticks on the loose pucks, and they were all over the front of the goal. The Golden Knights did not have an answer for it. And the concern is that can potentially linger on while we go through some of these injury concerns. And that's going to be something that wasn't necessarily something we were that worried about. You think back to certainly the first 15 games, but really most of the 30 that they played before today. And it's if a team flings a puck from the point, not that big a deal. We'll be able to make something happen defensively, block it, get on the loose puck, and get it out of there. Today, it just looked like there's no way that was going to happen with any consistency, and it ends up leading to 3 goals and the penalty that I think ended up being their 4th goal. So that's definitely a concern, something that needs to be worked out. The last thing I wanted to talk about, and the reason why I thought the Golden Knights were going to win today, and it's something we have to kind of remember from our past going back to last season, is oftentimes when you have a little bit of an injury bug and when you have these games where you come in knowing we're down this player, oftentimes right away, you actually get a boost from the rest of the players and from your best players, and you end up playing a little bit better for a short period of time. We didn't see that on the homestand, but we didn't really see the injuries stack up until now when we got the information of Eichel's not here, Petrangelo's not here, Theodore's not here, Whitecloud's not here. We knew that going in, and we're playing what's effectively the backup in Hill. This was stacked up against the Golden Knights. But because they know that, and because the rest of the players are finally getting that opportunity to step forward, you tend to get a little bit of that boost right away. That's what I think we got today. You didn't have poor games out of a lot of the guys that were going in. I didn't think Pahal had a poor game at all. He's new to the lineup. Lecision's been better. Amadio stepping in has been fine. They haven't had that catch up to them at different times. Hutton's another good example. Last game, steps in pretty good in that particular game. So the question is, can they sustain it? Does the depth of the team that we've been concerned about actually sustain being good enough? To last year, it didn't at all. It couldn't hold up. And as we went game after game after game, that boost started to fall off. This year, it hopefully will not. We don't know if the injuries are going to be as bad as they were a year ago. Hopefully they are not, but you can get the boost now. You have to be able to sustain it. And I think that that's going to be the concern moving forward, because you look down the rest of this of the schedule coming up, and it's not particularly easy. There are some winnable games in there. They play Arizona at home next week, Chicago on the road in a couple of days. Like, there are some winnable games, and you want to be able to take advantage of that. But you are going to need a little bit of consistency out of a lot of these guys that are stepping in. And I think it's easy for sometimes you to get it in that first game, but maybe it's not as time goes on. So that's something that we're definitely going to want to keep an eye on, is like, are we getting that same level of play from these guys that are the supposed depth players in the lineup? Get it today. You may have gotten it a little bit earlier, certainly, maybe a little on the road trip, but now, can you get it consistently? I'm not sure I believe in it yet. I have a lot. There needs to be a lot to be proven to me that we can see that over and over and over again, and that it's not a little bit of a repeat of last year. And hopefully the injuries aren't as bad. They definitely are going to be without two big-time defensemen, which is Theodore and Whitecloud, for at least the next couple of weeks here. We'll see how long it is on Eichel, and then Pietrangelo, we have no idea on. Hopefully that gets better, whatever's going on there. We'll see. I don't have an answer for it. I really don't have an answer for what the struggles at home are, and I don't really even know what fully to make of it. It's weird. Like, that's really the only thing to say, is like, it doesn't seem like it's a line matching thing, or they're getting these better, they're not worried about the matchups at all, because today there's no way you're going to have much of a line matchup today when you're down 4 players or 5 players that you would normally have in your lineup. Like, they just seem to be scoring on the road and not scoring at home, and I don't have a good answer for it. I don't think anybody has a good answer for it, and the question becomes, how is it going to level out? Is it going to level out with the scoring on the road coming back down to earth, or is it going to level out with the scoring at home coming back up to earth? Like, we don't know, and I don't know that we're going to have a good answer for that for quite some time. The thing that we do know is there's a lot of home games coming up, so hopefully they're able to find a way to get a little bit more offense at home. I don't think it's anything of like the own bed or the kids or the girlfriends or wives or whatever. I really don't. And the reason I can say that is because we've seen this for years. They've been good at home. Like, this isn't new that all of a sudden they have girlfriends and wives and kids at home and are more comfortable in their own bed. Like, that's not what's happened. Like, they've been good historically over the history of the team, and it's a lot of the same players. I don't think the coach is the difference in why they suddenly cannot play at home. And I think they started the season off 5 or 6-1 at home. So we know that they can play at home. I don't think there's a really good answer for it, and I don't know that we're ever going to have the good answer for it. I think it's just going to be something that comes and goes, and as we go throughout the course of the next 40, 50 games that are left in the season, we'll just get more information about what the Golden Knights are and what is the fluke. Is the fluke how much they're scoring on the road, or is the fluke how little they're scoring at home? That's what we're going to learn over the course of the next 3-4 months here. Tomorrow, goalie interference is back in its normal time, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Definitely come back and watch that. It'll be an interesting one, coming off a nice win. A couple of bad losses before that. Bad losses is probably not the right way to put it. Just a lackluster homestand. So we'll talk about all that. We'll talk about goalies, because I actually thought Adin Hill was good today, but I didn't want to get into it too much because let's talk about it tomorrow. And some of the comments from Cassidy were very interesting the last couple of days. A little bit about asking for a save in the game at home that they lost to Boston, and then talking about competition and giving Hill, it seemed like giving Hill a little bit more of a chance. We'll see. We'll talk about that all tomorrow. That's it for tonight. Thanks again to Conler CPAs for sponsoring all these Periscopes. We'll keep doing them on the home games and then keep doing the Twitter Spaces on the road games. Seems to be working for me. Hopefully it's working for you guys. Good night.